In this lesson, we're going to look at the concept of the plain past in Japanese, simply meaning I did. Past tense, it happened yesterday, it happened last year, and it's the plain form. It's used in a lot of grammatical concepts when you need to have the plain past of the verb. For example, when we say I should, in Japanese we use the plain past of the verb. If you're unsure of the differences between weak and strong verbs, it's something you need to review. So let's quickly have a look at how we determined a weak verb versus a strong verb. Then we can have a look at how to change the verbs into the plain past. All of our weak verbs were verbs like mimas, kimas, demas. If you remove the mas, they only have one hiragana. Or tabemas, akemas, shimemas. If you remove the mas, the leftover hiragana is from the e row. Or okimas and abimas, where sometimes a verb that has only a vowel and one hiragana ends up being a weak verb. There are exceptions to that one, and sometimes we have two verbs that look the same in the plain form or in the mas form. These verbs are weak verbs. That means they're easy to deal with. They simply change one part of the verb for another ending. All of these weak verbs simply changed by removing the mas and adding ta. Mimas would become mita, taking away the mas and replacing it with ta. Kimas would become kita. Demas, to leave the house, deta. Tabemas, to eat, take off the mas, we end up with tabeta, I ate. Akemas becomes aketa, I opened. Shimemas, to close, take off the mas, shimeta, closed. Okimas, to wake up, okita, woke up. Abimas, to take a shower, abita, took a shower. Past tense in the plain form. So the rule for the weak verbs: remove the mas, add ta, and you have put the verb into the plain past. When we look at our strong verbs, we need to remind ourselves of changing these into the te form. The rules for changing them into the te form relate once again to the I row on the hiragana chart. We have to change the I, ki, shi, chi, ni, bi, mi, and ri according to our rules as in the te form. Remembering I, chi, and ri all change to the little tsu te. Ki changes to ite, gi changes to ide, shi simply adds the te, and mi, bi, and ni take n, de. Once we've reminded ourselves and reviewed how to change these verbs into the te form, all we have to do is change that te to ta, or in the case of de, to da. So I, chi, and ri changes from a little tsu te to a little tsu ta. Ki, instead of ite, goes to ita. Gi, instead of ide, goes to ida. Shi is added. Ta is added to shi, and ni, mi, and be changed to nda for the plain past. So where the te form ended in te, the plain past changes that te to ta and the de to da to make the plain past of the Japanese verbs. So for example, if we wanted to say ame ga furimasu, it rains, we want to put that into the plain past. It's a ri, changes to little tsu ta, ame ga futta, it rained. Doa o akemasu, to open the door. Doa o aketa, opened the door. Doa o aketa. Tomodachi to asobimasu, to play with your friends. Asobimasu changes to asonda. Tomodachi to asonda. Remembering, if we're finishing the sentence in the plain past, we're probably talking to friends. Uchi o demasu, I leave the house. Demasu, a weak verb, would become uchi o deta, I left the house. Shukudai o shimasu, to do your homework. Shukudai o shita, past tense, I did my homework. Shukudai o shita. A good answer to the question, what did you do yesterday? Shukudai o shita, I did my homework. Tomodachi to asonda, I played with my friends. What was the weather like yesterday? Ame ga futta, it rained. Ame ga futta, it rained. So you can replace the verb from the mas or the mashita, polite ending, by simply using the rules for te form, but changing that final te to a ta, to obtain the plain past and explain things that were done yesterday or previously.